Hey, it's been 7 months since my last video about comics, but I'm back, okay? So, 15 months ago, I got my pull service started at the comic store. It began with this, Elvira in Monsterland, the Ash Can Edition, which I reviewed on this channel, and that then turned into the entire Elvira in Monsterland series, which I've covered. Here's my duplicate copy of issue 2 with just the art because I got it signed by the artist when I met him. My duplicate copy of issue 3 with the photo cover because when I met Elvira for the second time, I got her to sign it. I've showed all this stuff before, right? And that completed that series. Okay. But before this 5-issue series from Dynamite Comics, written by David Avallone, was his previous 5-issue series from Dynamite, and it was called Elvira in Horrorland. And there was a trade paperback collection of that was supposed to come out 3 months ago. It's been pushed off for 6 months, so it's not out yet. But before that was his 5-issue series, Elvira Meets Vincent Price, which has been collected, and it's come out, and I read it, and it's pretty cool because in real life, Vincent Price was Elvira's hero, and she became personal friends with him. So this is a really cool idea for a story because in here they meet up and have an adventure, right? They battle ancient Egyptian gods with the help of an unreleased film from Vincent Price. Let's see. The story actually starts off with a kind of a story setup, which would become the Elvira in Monsterland series. And in the final issue, it sets up the series that comes after Monsterland, which I'll cover in a bit with H.P. Lovecraft. Before the Vincent Price series was this 5-issue series, The Shape of Elvira. This is a takeoff, I think, of that... what's that filmmaker that does the Hellboy movies? Whatever. It was kind of like a modern Creature from the Black Lagoon, I'm assuming. I don't know. It's called The Shape of Water, but that looks just like the Creature from the Black Lagoon. But I haven't read this yet, so I don't know. Oh. Huh. Yeah. I can't wait to read this. This is going to be cool. And before that, the whole thing kind of started off with Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, which was a 12-issue series. Each 4 issues are collected in these trade paperbacks. I've got 1 and 2. I've just noticed that 3 has recently come out, and I forgot to order it, so I got to order that, complete my collection, then I can read them. That's where David Avallone kind of started this whole Dynamite era of Elvira comics that continues to this day. Take a look inside. Pretty cool. And those, at least in title, I think, is a kind of a revamp of the original Elvira, Mistress of the Dark series. This was a 166-issue black and white series of comics from the 90s. And they are collected in these giant omnibuses, which I only have volume 1. I'm going to have to start reading a lot of my Elvira comics and catch up before I, start plunking down money for the other volumes. Because at this point, I'm just collecting rooms full of comics that I don't have enough centuries of my life left to read through. But that brings us to the comic that came out after Elvira in Monsterland. Elvira meets H.P. Lovecraft. And inside the front cover, you can see they mentioned that David Avallone has penned 33 adventures so far of Elvira. I think if you do the math, I don't have... even when I get the trade paperback that hasn't been released yet. But when I get everything, it still won't be 33 issues. The reason for that is because there are, I believe, like 3 special standalone comics that came out as Kickstarter projects. from a few years before I was getting Elvira comics, and if you try and buy them on eBay, if they pop up, they're ridiculously expensive. I'm not spending hundreds of dollars for a single issue of a comic that came out within the last 10 years. It's just ridiculous. But inside these comics, which I did read, it shows that, Elvira is teaming up with the ghost of H.P. Lovecraft, going in search of the Necronomicon from his Cthulhu mythos, all that stuff, all the various covers that they have for every issue. That trend continues. They go to Arkham. And it's got all of the Cthulhu creatures. What do you call those? I mean, there's only one Cthulhu, so what do you call the rest of the creatures? I keep thinking of the D&D book, Cthulhu Mythos from the Deities and Demigods, so I don't know what you're supposed to call them all. I guess I should know this. But anyways, in the last issue, she meets Cthulhu himself. Let me bring you to him. See? Check it out. Elvira and the ghost of H.P. Lovecraft in front of Cthulhu. Check that out. I love it. The Elder Gods, right? See Yog Sothoth. Of course, they're just like space creatures, right? Or interdimensional space creatures. I don't know, but I did love this comic series. But that brings me to a question I've got. See, as this series was coming out, Elvira meets H.P. Lovecraft, we also got a Three Stooges versus Cthulhu. And I'm like, another Cthulhu comic at the same time. That's interesting. And it's kind of a funny comic. I did laugh a few times in it, which is nice, because I like the Three Stooges. And I was wondering, how's this going to translate to comic form? Even though they had comics of the Three Stooges, I hadn't read any, but now I did. It was funny. See, this is a reprint of the old Three Stooges comic. Oh, check this out! It's a Hostess fruit pie ad with Mo Howard on the. So this might not. I know they have reprints in the new Three Stooges comics of the old Three Stooges comics. I'm wondering if this was an actual parody of the Hostess ad. I don't know. It's pretty cool, though. And simultaneous, it was the 100th anniversary, centennial of the Three Stooges, 100th anniversary. So this comic came out, so I read this too. It was pretty interesting. Oh, you see, it's got reprints of the old. Well, I'm not going to repeat myself. You heard me. See? Reprints. But it's got a new story as well. It's reprints and a new story and like other stuff. It was cool. It's a nice little anniversary thing. But also at the same time as Elvira meeting Cthulhu and the Three Stooges meeting Cthulhu, the Call of Cthulhu trade paperback comic version of the Cthulhu story comes out. And it's got the entire text of the original story. But all at the same time. So I'm like, well, what's going on with Call of Cthulhu here in the first half of 2024? It's not the anniversary of Cthulhu or anything to do with H.P. Lovecraft, or I didn't get it. So I went to my little group on Facebook where I have people that I can talk to about these kinds of things. And kind of a dead end there. They were saying stuff like, H.P. Lovecraft and Cthulhu are in public domain, so that's why. I'm like, okay, yeah, well, they've been in public domain for a long time. Well, how is that an explanation for everything coming out right now has to have Cthulhu? So then they just come back with like, I assume they just got the license to the Three Stooges and Elvira, and so they picked the quick public domain characters, easy. That's probably what it is. Of course, The Three Stooges comic has been going since 2016. This modern Elvira comic also going as long. You know, all these modern comics that these characters, the Cthulhu's popping up in now, have been going for 8 years. So it's not new. No. So then they come back with like shrugging emojis and stuff. Yeah, exactly. You don't know. You don't have the answers. Just stop responding, okay? If you know the answer, respond. If you don't need to keep coming back with what you think is the obvious answer must be, as if I haven't given it any thought before I asked to go, forget it. So, of course, you remember my friend Steve from the early episodes of the Atomic Comic Pile. He is, of course, a Cthulhu hand puppet.
Hey, remember me? I'm the kid that had a report due on space. Smell my feet.
And I don't know, before I got Steve, maybe after him, somewhere around that time, I got this cool Cthulhu. Can I fit the whole thing on here? Look, it's like a money bank. I guess if you peel this off, you can open it and get the coins. I'm not putting any coins in here, but this is, based on the original H.P. Lovecraft pencil sketch of what Cthulhu would look like, but made much more cool looking. This is awesome to sit up, on a shelf. Love it. Back in 2015, there was a Kickstarter for a line of Cthulhu action figures from this company called Warpo, which I backed, and I just got the Cthulhu figure. That's all I wanted. Mine had the Warpo Kickstarter sticker on it and everything, but I opened it up, had him on my shelf. When I sold all my toys, he went. But I got this off of eBay. I guess this was like a later sale of like the excess stock. So you can see it's a retro looking toy line. The artwork is painted by Ken Kelly, which was Frank Frazetta's nephew. Well, it was, through on his wife's side, Ellie Frazetta. Her maiden name is Kelly. I'm sure I've said that on Frazetta videos. And I met him. I met Ken Kelly, got my Kiss album signed, and he has since passed away. But you can see here, what did I say? 2014? I said 2015, right? It's 2014. Sorry. But anyways, I'm gonna open it up. It's okay. It doesn't matter. I don't want to keep him in the package. I want him out. I want him with my collection. Well, my collections my collections are gonna have to go into a storage unit for a while until I buy it, because I'm selling my house and I'm gonna buy a new one. See the ring? I got married, and yeah, of course, if you've watched my YouTube channel, that's pretty much the videos I've been posting, stuff like that. So, anyways, here it's technically a minion of Cthulhu or avatar of Cthulhu, whatever it is. It's the like a humanoid version he can take, and he can manifest himself on Earth. They did have a giant version you could get as well, which was supposed to be like the full Cthulhu, except it was just the same figure, just made really big. I don't know, it looked pretty stupid. I didn't want it. I just like this little guy. And who cares? He can be Cthulhu to me. And look, he comes with a Necronomicon. But you get the picture, right? But at the same time, back in 2014, I got this art print. This is from artist Michael Comark, and it is actually the painting he made for the book cover of The Art of Cthulhu from 2006. I've looked through the book. I don't like any of the other art inside, but I do love this wraparound cover. Of course, it's just a Photoshop painting, but I think it looks great. And I was able to get a signed print of it from his website. I had it in a frame on my wall for a long time. I'll have to put it back in a frame. But anyways, here you go. It's pretty cool, right? And this, I just got this at Target. This just came out. The company NECA is releasing Elvira, Mistress of the Dark figures. I believe this is the first one. This is her 40th anniversary. It's just her classic look. This is what she looked like when I met her the first time, and she was in the full Elvira garb. And this just looks really cool. Look at all this cool stuff. I'm gonna open it in a second, okay? But anyways, during this weekend is San Diego Comic-Con, and they're previewing new toys and stuff coming out. They had a display with like 3 or 4 new Elviras. I don't need any of them. This is the only one I need. Guess I need it, whatever. But before we open this, let me tell you a couple of things. So, what's my connection to Cthulhu? Because I'm not done talking about Cthulhu yet, right? Okay, so like I said, that Deities and Demigods book from Dungeons and Dragons, the first version of it, which I used to have a very special copy of, which I've covered in video before, but I sold all that stuff. Anyways, it had the Cthulhu mythos, and that's where I became exposed to them. I would have gotten exposed to that 1980 book in 1982 from my public library. I haven't read any of the H.P. Lovecraft books and stories or whatever. They're not really books, right? Because they were printed in pulp magazines, but they've been collected in books. I'm not much of a reader, okay? The H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society did come out with 2 films, which I bought. Pretty awesome. They made The Call of Cthulhu in 2005. They made it to look as if it had been created in the 1920s in the style of Nosferatu. So it is a silent movie. It's really cool. And then they made another H.P. Lovecraft story into a movie called The Whisperer in Darkness in 2011. Because this one is a little bit later on, they made it in the style of the 1930s Universal monster style of films, Dracula, Frankenstein. So it was black and white, but it had sound. And those are really cool little films. They're short films. Oh, and one more thing. I came across a new podcast, as I do all the time, and I have to I fall in love with it, so I have to listen to all their back episodes. And I just listened to a 3-hour episode about the satanic panic of the late 70s, early 80s, and how it was related to and affected Dungeons and Dragons and the Procter and Gamble company at the time. And a lot of the focus in the podcast about Procter and Gamble was about their logo. Yet, in the entire 3-hour podcast, I mean, they covered, the Tom Hanks Mazes and Monsters movie and everything. In the 3 hours, they didn't make the connection that logo from TSR Games that put out the Dungeons and Dragons books, that Deities and Demigods copy from 1980, the logo was copied from the Procter & Gamble logo. They don't say that in the podcast. They don't mention it. It's as if he doesn't know the connection of his 2 main story threads. 3 hours talking about this subject, and he doesn't make the connection. The only thing I knew about the Procter & Gamble okay, whatever. I'm going to open this. Hey, look, I'm doing an unboxing video. Wow. So we've got her stand. Pull the stand out first. This must be child-proof because I can't open it. Hey, it's got her autograph. Let's compare. It's the same, kinda. I mean, she spent a little more time on this. Okay, the figure. The figure with a figure. I'm full of puns. Ah, jeez, it's all twist-tied in here. Is she wearing a diaper? Oh, that's a silica gel. Connie silica? Silica, you moron. Oh. Hey, I got it. Look at that. Oops. Just got demonetized. No, my channel is not monetized. Well, look, it's got the, see that paint texture? It looks like she's wearing stockings. I'm stumbling on the word there. Got all the joints. See? Fingernail polish. Got the holes in her feet so I can put her on the stand. Okay. What does she come with? Okay, so she's got her other facial expression, the winking, the mouth open. She's got stuff to hold. Oh no, this, you just sit this on the ground. Wow, that's pretty cool. Ew. Oh, wow. Love it. And, woo, look at that. A goblet for her to partake in a quaffing drink of salts. And a dagger. That's right, she probably put that right in her belt. Yeah, I'm gonna set this up later. Pretty cool. I like this stuff. Why am I buying more toys? I sold all my toys and now I'm buying more toys. Oh, it's a sickness. Goodbye.